Ladies, my fellow mommies, we are always so busy, on the go, kids screaming in the back seat, sleeping babies. I have the ultimate hack for you.
Welcome to the Stay Fit Mom Podcast with Krista and Tracy, your go-to girls for health, fitness, and keeping it real in mom life.
If you can't seem to get in a good groove with your nutrition and exercise program, this is for you.
We've coached thousands of women using macros for over 8 years, and I'm well known around here for my 5-day meal prep videos.
What does a macro balanced meal look like?
Hit subscribe to the Stay Fit Mom Podcast and join us for a fun, meaningful journey toward a healthier, happier you.
You got this, Mom.
Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am here with Krista, and we are so excited to talk about budgeting today, which so excited is a really strong phrase, but I feel like it's a topic that I really enjoy. I find the topic of budgeting super interesting. Not that I don't have a lot of systems in place necessarily, but I love hearing about other people's systems. I love hearing just about how they manage their money in general. And given that it's the new year, and I feel like after Christmas, people tighten the reins on their spending. So we thought this is a perfect time. And it very much correlates with budgeting your food, macro counting. The character traits that you need to be a good macro counter are the same character traits you need to be good at budgeting your finances. So we're going to get into that. But first, let's do our segments, Krista. Let's start with the last time. What you got for us? Okay, I'm wondering, when is the last time you went to the movies and what did you see? I don't think you're a big moviegoer, are you? I'm actually really excited about this one because we don't go to the movies anymore. I mean, I understand with 6 kids. We just don't. It's perfect for this episode because it's not cost effective for a family of 8 to go to the movies. But our thing is we will stream it as soon as it's available on streaming.
Okay.
So the last video that we streamed that came out, and then as soon as it was streamable, we were and we even bought it,
Mhm.
was Wicked.
Oh, okay. How was it? What did you
Well,
think of it watching it at home?
well, first of all, I've never seen Wicked on Broadway. Have you ever seen Wicked on
No.
Broadway?
No.
So as a kid, I didn't really love Wizard of Oz. It wasn't a favorite of mine.
I thought it was scary.
And so going to see Wicked was not on my bucket list. I was like, I don't really care about it. And now I get it. I get what it's all about. I'm stumped. I have no idea what's going to happen next, but I can't wait for the next one to come out. I've been playing the soundtrack on my Pandora and
Same. We've been jamming out. I will listen to it on my own in the car, but I do only really listen to the "What Is This Feeling" song and
oh,
"Defying Gravity" on repeat. I know the words.
what about the popular one?
Oh, that one too. I forgot about that. That one we haven't been listening to as much recently, but that's funny. That was the last movie I saw in theaters also. But the first time I saw it, I went with the whole family with Chad and the boys, and I didn't love it. I don't know if I was just worried about what they were thinking, if they thought it was lame, or the theater we were in wasn't great. The audio was bad. So I took McKenna a few weeks ago. I think it was the day before it came out on streaming, and we went and saw it here in Vegas at a nice theater with comfortable seats, and it was so good. It was so good, and I feel like there were so many things I'd missed the first time, and I loved it.
The sets are incredible. I thought Ariana Grande as Glinda was so incredible. I was like, this is such good acting. I didn't know she had that in her. I don't follow the stars.
Yeah, I didn't know who she was.
Oh, that's funny. But I was like, gosh, she can act. She's
Yeah,
good. And
great. All
even the
were.
boys were glued.
Really?
And yes, they all loved it.
I've actually thought about buying it too.
You
In
go first.
between seeing Wicked the 2 times, we as a family went to see Sonic, and we were so excited. We loved the first and second one. I have vivid memories of us watching the first one over and over again on camping trips in our RV. The third one was just we were so bored. It was just nothing like the first and
Wow.
second one. It was more the characters and being in the video game more so than
The
like
storyline.
yeah, and Jim Carrey was just ridiculous in it. It was so bad. Anyway, had to put that out there. My boys weren't really impressed. I was like, "Oh, man, this is gonna be a long movie."
So I have to tell you about one more for
Okay.
mine. Cayman just celebrated her 13th birthday. She's a teenager.
And
Uh-huh.
for her 13th birthday, all she wanted to do was have an ice cream bar, and then she really wanted to watch a scary PG-13 movie.
Okay.
She's like, "Which one do you think I should watch?" What would you say, Krista?
I
Scary PG-13 movie.
the one that comes to mind, what is it called? The one with Michelle Pfeiffer, The
What is
Bathtub.
it?
Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, but I can't remember what
I remember it was PG-13 and it was so scary.
tell
What
you.
Lies Beneath.
Yes, that was a good one.
They, like, moved into the house and it was haunted. Anyway,
Yes.
scary. She
Okay,
would probably love that.
so she picked or I was like, "I think you should pick The Sixth Sense."
Oh, yeah.
And it's the best because nobody her age has any idea what The Sixth Sense is, and there's a huge shocker at the end. I do remember The Sixth Sense just blowing my mind at the
Mhm.
end.
I did watch it, years ago when it came out. Did they
I
love
remember
it?
that.
They
Yeah.
scared?
They were so scared because it's one of those movies where you're so scared that something's going to happen the whole time, and then at the end, you're like, "Oh, that was not really scary at all." Anyway, it was great. They all
Yeah.
loved it.
If you do ever decide to take the whole family to the movies, you gotta get your tickets at Costco. Since we're on the topic of budgeting,
Yeah.
saving money, we do the Cinemark app. We really should do 2. I don't know if we can double it up, but we get 1 ticket a month and it always rolls over. So if you don't use it,
Oh.
and not only do we get a ticket a month, but any additional tickets we buy, we don't have to pay all the extra fees that they tack on
Yes.
everything now. So that's been
Okay.
really nice. We utilize that so much. And you get discounts and points and rewards and things.
Oh, people are gonna just be eating up all of your tips and tricks about these rewards, Krista.
Not that big of a hack, but we used to love going to the movies before we had kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Wicked was great. I'm excited
Wonderful.
for next holiday season.
Can't wait. Okay, what's for dinner? What is one meal that you cooked this last week that just knocked it out of the park for your family?
Oh, I've been making my new bacon cheddar biscuits. I've made them like 3 times in the last week and a half. They're coming out in February monthly macro meals. They're so easy. It's the 2 ingredient dough, but I added bacon and cheese and spinach. You could add bell peppers, all kinds of things. And I use my cookie scoop and I scoop out the batter and I plop it on the cookie sheet. And then you press it down with a little bit of cheese, bake them, and they're so good.
I cannot wait to make those. That is right up my alley. Although the dough always gets me, oh, it's gonna be a mess. But if I can push past the
It's
dough,
not, you don't have to use your hands, and it's not super sticky because you add eggs too. So it's not super bready either. And they're high in protein. They're great.
okay, wonderful. And I think by the time this episode comes out, it'll be
Time.
very close.
Well, what
Okay,
about
we have basketball tonight, and I feel like this has become one of our weekly or every other week staple, and it's the chicken parmesan meatball bowls. I laugh because it's probably my most used 5-day meal prep recipe, and I haven't even made some of the 5-day meal prep recipes that have made the top 5
5 of the year?
all time. I was shocked at that list. I'm like, I have never even made the artichoke spinach, whatever. Is it?
Spinach, artichoke, orzo bakes.
Yeah, why am I not making those? Why am I not adding that?
Have you tried any of the orzo ones?
No, I haven't made any
Good.
orzo. But anyway, that being said, chicken parmesan meatball bowls, I just love the combination of the Alfredo and the marinara sauce
Really?
together.
Yeah. I was gonna say, are you rolling the meatballs every time?
Yes. Should
I'm
I
just
is
saying
that
my
wasting
favorite new
time?
hack is the ice cream scoop. It's the big one. You get the big one.
Uh-huh.
I use it for meatballs now every time too. I just scoop, put it on the cookie sheet instead of rolling every single one. You
Huh.
can make them smaller for fun. I don't
Okay.
know.
So if you haven't made that yet, put it on your list. Okay, last segment is our advice question. And this is what we have. Coming from Ninja Insider. Any good advice for when you're finished eating your macros for the day, but still have that noisy little voice wanting to pick or grab snacks? Am I hungry? I don't think so. I think it's just more like food noise. So what hacks do you have or what suggestions do you have for her, Krista?
And honestly, I think the easiest thing to do is to go to bed. Is that so lame? If I'm getting snacky, I got to go in my room away from the kitchen, read my book, and go to sleep. Sometimes that's all I can do. If I sit down in the living room that close to the kitchen or watch a movie, those habits of snacking on something or having a late night treat, they are telling me it's time.
I totally agree with that. And I even dread when we have anything that's late at night. If we have this is terrible to say, but if I'm going out on a girls' night and I know it's going to be late and I'm trying to hit my macros,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is going to be torturous if I'm all out of macros, which that's a whole nother discussion. But I just agree that going to bed is great.
Mhm.
Some other tips in here that the girls gave were amazing, like brush your teeth right
Oh,
after
that's a good
because
one.
nobody wants to eat after their teeth are brushed.
Maybe some of that trendy thing right now is the mouth tape, right?
I've
You
never
seen
seen
that?
a mouth
You
thing.
haven't heard about mouth tape? A lot of people are swearing by it. You sleep with it, it forces you to breathe through your nose. I don't know. I just think of that because if you got to put your mouth tape on, you are done eating.
I have
I can't
never, I
believe you've
thought,
never heard of this. It's been
no.
trending for a little while now.
Oh my gosh. Somebody said flavored ice. Put sugar-free water flavor packet in with a small amount of water and blend with ice. It's
Mm,
kind of like a fun treat. I don't know if that would satisfy, but maybe it would at a
yeah.
girls' night event. That might make me feel like I'm still part of it. Hot peppermint or other decaf tea in the winter. Okay, and then this is what I had said because after I read Glucose Revolution, I feel like I got a lot more wisdom into the intermittent fasting world. Not that we're intermittent fasters by any means,
Mhm.
but when you have this fasting period, which is your last meal of the day versus your first meal for breakfast, it gives your body a chance to shift its focus from digesting food to other important processes like burning stored fat for energy, balancing your blood sugar levels, and even supporting your gut and cell health. So, when you stay consistent with that window, it trains your body over time to manage your hunger signals and it'll just make sticking to your goals easier. So, just knowing that your body is doing so much to repair, recover, and work on those other things that it needs to do during that fasting period. It's not just about skipping a snack, it's about giving my body the time it needs to reset and recover, which helps me feel stronger and more control the next day.
Right. And then another thing to also think about is maybe they need to shift around their macros, the way they're balancing them throughout the day. I've always been the bulk of my calories later in the day kind of person because I do get that food noise wanting to eat. So if I always have my macros saved up for something after dinner, then at least I know I have that.
Yep. Great tip. All right, so let's get into our budget episode. And like I mentioned at the beginning, really the big point that we want to drive home is that the characteristics that you need to excel at macros are the same characteristics. I think there's just so many parallels. And I talked a little bit about our debt free journey on that adoption episode. And even on that episode, Krista, you're like, we could do a whole segment on just budgeting and how it relates to macro counting and all of that. So that's where we're headed.
There's a lot of people who naturally love to budget money and their macros, and that's why they do well with it. But it's something that can be learned, and I feel like you're a testament to that. You always said you hate your budget at first, right, when you're paying off your house, but now I feel like you're all about it.
Well, I'm all about it because so this is what I think about in the back of my head. I have to remind myself that saying no in the moment, what feels like restriction right now actually gives me more freedom later. And I
Yes.
feel that same way about macro counting. If I say no to this thing that's coming at me that I just want right away, if I say no to that, then it's going to give me more room later on. What I really love is that process and moving forward with my goals. I really like to do that. But I have to tell myself that every day. I don't enjoy sale hunting. Even when you were talking about the AMC movie gift card thing, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have the energy to even sign up for that app. And that to me is harder. It's harder in my mind. That just feels like more of a buildup than we'll just not go. It's too much for me. But I see the value in it. My personality is just
Yes.
easier for me to say no. But yeah, delay instant gratification in exchange for forward progress.
That makes me think about when you say girls' nights, how it kind of stresses you out. And sometimes I feel like it's just so much easier. I mean, sometimes obviously it's worth it to go to girls' night and enjoy it and spend your macros on whatever. But sometimes it's so nice to just eat a normal, healthy meal and say no to things and go home and enjoy that snack you budgeted in. It's going to make you feel so much better.
Right. And yeah, because you're not depriving. It's not like you're saying, no, I can't have anything good. It's like my Ninja Creamy,
Yes.
delicious Reese's peanut butter ice cream is better than this store-bought cookie that's being offered and served here.
I feel like over the years that's happened a lot. I've experienced that for sure.
And I mean, similarly with finances, right? It's so easy for me to get drawn in, especially in our social media age. I could spend money without even thinking about it because I'll just see the latest thing and want it. But if I have the boundary, which speaking of boundaries, this is one that Chris and I have, we get allotted fun money each month. And if we don't spend it, it rolls over the next month.
You guys have done that for years, right? Have
Yes.
you always done that? Yeah, I remember. Chad and I tried it for a little while. Well, you don't currently, but I think it's cool. It's smart.
I need the boundary. I need somebody
Yeah.
to set me a hard line and say, you can't go over that. And then I'm fine sticking in the boundary. But if I don't have that, the next thing I know, I'm spending $20,000 on a bathroom remodel on just the shower tile. Do you have any success stories, Krista? What do you feel really proud of when it comes to your personal health goals, your financial progress, anything you want to share there when it comes to budgeting or boundaries?
I've always been a big saver. I know we talked about this before too. I'm Chris. I could have my money sitting in the bank and just find so much comfort in that.
I know we've talked about this already on the podcast, but again, Krista has been living in this house for so long. Your ability to say, I'm just going to sit this one out and sit in this little rental for the foreseeable future, that takes a lot of patience, just seeing the end goal in mind and knowing that it's worth it, even though the goal kept getting pushed at some
Right.
point.
Yeah, I do think it would have been so easy and so convenient to rent a nice home over by where we're building. But then I think about all that money we would have spent. That just kills me to give my money away for rent. I think it depends on how you're raised. I've always wanted to own a home. And if I'm going to pay thousands of dollars a month, I want it to eventually be mine. I get it's very convenient to rent and you don't have to take care of certain things when situations arise. I get the freedom in that too. But just the thought of spending all that money on rent, especially it's taken a lot more years than we thought, that would have killed me. So yeah.
Which is just that concept of opportunity cost, which is every dollar that I have is going somewhere. And if I spend it on this, it means I can't spend it on this. Just like with macro counting, if I'm using my macros on this plate of food, it means I'm saying no to this stuff over here.
Right.
And just weighing that, you said, oh, I just can't see throwing more money at something that isn't long term going to benefit me.
Right.
Okay, so any saving hack that you have, Krista? I want to hear more of the coupon stuff, the deals. Everyone here wants to hear that. It's easier for me to just say no, but there are some hacks out there that are really good that I know people love.
I was really trying to think. Chad and I were teachers for 10 years. And before Stay Fit Mom, we were making nothing. But we were lucky enough, we did own a home and we were making ends meet. But one of the things that I spent my time on before Stay Fit Mom was couponing. I got super into that, like the crazy coupon ladies. I had the books and I had the stockpile. Do you remember that?
I did it too. There was just a time where that was really in with the trends. I'm sure
Still
it's still
around.
happening.
Yeah. But it also used to make me a little crazy, I think. I would get so angry when it didn't work out the way they were supposed to.
Or like, God forbid, you have to spend full price on shampoo again versus, oh, I could have got buy 3, get 2 free, or whatever.
And that stuff is hard because even now going to Target, I love using the Target app and I have the Target card because it's not a credit card. It comes right out of your bank account. But yeah, sometimes it's hard because it's like spend $50 on groceries and you get $10 back. You're tempted to do it, but then sometimes I'm like, well, I don't need $50 worth of groceries right now. So yeah, I kind of toggle between the two of those. I was trying to think also how we differ from you and Chris. I don't know how well you follow the Dave Ramsey stuff anymore as far as you have allocated budgets for groceries and things. We're big on we put everything on credit cards and then we pay it off at the end of every month.
So then you use those points, the credit card points, they give you cash or whatever it is. Yeah.
So we'll get cash back from Costco every year. And then we recently have one where we're building up points for travel because we don't travel a lot, Chad and I. We want to. So we thought that would be a good way to start earning points without really realizing it. Another hack is I make my own Dawn spray.
You've Instagrammed that. That's a good hack.
I mean, there's so many things you can do, but those are a few that came to mind.
I was just thinking in general. So one of the things that Chris and I do well, I know what my personal spending amount allocated is every month, a boundary that we have. If the purchase is over $100, outside of groceries are always over $100, but
Yeah.
if it's a purchase that's over $100, I'll tell Chris about it, wait 24 hours.
Chad and I don't have personal spending budgets each month. We did. It was awesome. We really should start it again, but we always have been really good at talking to each other about what we're buying. He would never secretly buy something, or I would never secretly buy something, not tell him. I
Yes.
feel like that's pretty common. I feel like a lot of people do that. They make the jokes online, hiding all their Amazon boxes, but he sees everything I order on Amazon because it alerts him. And I see everything he puts on the credit card because it alerts me.
Mhm.
But
Mhm. That accountability right there too, because yeah, it is both of your money. Why the budget for each of us works is there's no judgment. You do
Correct.
whatever you want with your money. For example, Chris is the saver and he will just save up his monthly allocated amounts until all of a sudden one day he's like, look what I got today. And it's this pickleball shooter outer thing. It was over $1,000. This pickleball, gosh, what's the gadget?
tennis ones, it shoots the ball to
Yes.
the other side of
Like
the
the most frivolous purchase. Who needs, I mean, what's the point of that? Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, he
But
decided to
but he
try it.
probably looks at my purchases and Tracy, how many pairs of shoes do you need more shirts? Are you running around naked? Why are you buying all these things? So it does eliminate that. There's no questioning. You do whatever you want with your money and yeah. So that's kind of nice.
That is cool.
What about this concept of emotional spending or emotional eating? There is something to be said about I get so excited when I buy something new. It's like a dopamine hit, similar to exercise, add to cart.
Like
And
anything that comes from Amazon, I'm like, "Ooh, what is this?" It could be the silliest thing. There's something about a package being on your doorstep.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's when you see it and you're like, "Ooh, I want that," and you order it. Because sometimes the package will arrive. For example, on the last podcast episode, I talked about the green machine, and I
Mhm.
was so excited to order. I was like, "This is gonna work miracles for me." And I order it, and it comes, and as soon as it comes, I'm like, "I gotta put that together. I gotta start cleaning." I mean, that one wasn't as exciting, but if it's closed, just hitting the buy button does some sort of serotonin boost. So
Mhm.
again, having the parameters and a set of boundaries will help keep you from just doing it because you want this feeling, excitement, I guess.
Yeah.
And then same with emotional eating. If you have a really bad day and you go to the ice cream container or,
Yeah.
oh, I'm watching a movie and we have popcorn, we have candy when we go to the movies, like that's just part of the culture. When you have those boundaries, like a macro budget or a spending budget, then you don't lean into that as much. You're
Right.
more steady. Then
Mhm.
I wanted to go over how to macro count with a budget in mind. What are some grocery saving tips that you have? We're both frugal people.
Mhm.
How does macro counting fit into that?
I was actually talking to Chad last night. We were thinking back on when we first started meal prepping years ago. I remember us making all the time grilling chicken. Chicken's one of the cheapest proteins. We would grill chicken, we would make pasta, which is so cheap, and we would use canned green beans. We ate so many canned green beans. And so we were just talking about different things. If I see something on sale at the grocery store, like meat, there was sausage links on sale a few weeks back. And so I bought a few packs and then I kind of changed some of my dinners for the week around that. I made some spaghetti sauce and I made another Italian dish. Some other things that we do is I'll stock up our pantry when things go on sale. And then we were just talking about different budget friendly protein sources, canned tuna, canned chicken, chicken in general. Pork loin used to always be one of the cheaper,
Yeah.
or was it around the same price as chicken. Eggs, not currently, but typically eggs are a great thing to purchase to get in a lot of protein. And then yogurt, we eat a lot of yogurt in our house. It's high in protein, milk, any dairy really. And then we were talking about rice for carbohydrates, oatmeal, pasta, canned and frozen vegetables. I
Mhm.
think are typically a little more budget friendly unless it's vegetables that are in season.
I was also thinking having a meal plan in general If you have a meal plan, you're less likely to spend as much money because you're not walking into the grocery store just putting random things in your cart. With macro counting, you're so specific. You have to plan in advance, and that's saving you money. Also, you're eating it all. I would never make my chicken Parmesan meatball bowls and throw 2 bowls away. That is like throwing gold in the garbage. I would rather throw actual money in the garbage can than one of my meal prep bowls in the garbage because it's so valuable to me as a macro counter. It's so valuable to me for my health goals. And so when you plan in advance, that's just the number one way. You don't impulse buy those last minute items that they want you to throw in your cart. And I think ordering groceries online has saved me a lot of money for that reason. It's made me a better planner.
I do see the value in that. I've looked into it so many times. You know what held me up from doing online grocery orders from Walmart is the tipping. Adding the tip on every time to the drivers is just crazy.
It's so worth it, Krista. I would pay more in gas back and forth. Maybe not.
Yeah,
But,
Walmart for me is right around the corner.
oh,
Yeah.
just
No, I get it.
Krista, you could
worth
do
it.
4 Instagram stories in the time that you drive yourself to Walmart and back.
I go
because
so much. Working on recipes, I go to the grocery store.
I would think that would be the bigger reason not to for you because you go and you get inspired when you walk in there. You're getting inspired for recipes. There's no inspiration. I'm just taking all of your ideas and ingesting them and showing everybody how amazing it is.
So grocery prices, obviously with inflation, they're getting higher and higher, but I still have to imagine that it's so much cheaper to cook all your own food than to go out to eat, right?
There's no question. So, what people think is, oh, my grocery bill is so expensive. I spent $300 on groceries. Oh, I drove through Chick-fil-A. It's not that big of a deal. It's only $20. But when you divide the amount of people that you're feeding and the amount of meals that you're eating every day, divide that number compared to what you're spending on one meal per person at the drive-through, it's astronomically more expensive. Huge differences.
Yeah.
For example, we have got it down to $2 per person per meal if I cook at home. And we eat well. We're eating a very high protein diet. We don't skimp out on things. I'm not a penny pincher when it comes to, I will still buy the expensive eggs. I will just do it. But eating out, that's a minimum. If everyone's getting water and we're going through the drive-through, it's $10 per person per meal minimum.
I feel like $10 is really good. We go to
You're right.
It's like $13 a meal now, isn't it? It's crazy.
So much.
Yeah.
So it's just not worth it. But you have to price it out per person per meal. You can't just think, oh, it's only $20 going through the drive-through. It's a lot more than that and weigh that opportunity cost out.
Right. I think a lot of people, when they start macro counting, they're like, this is going to get expensive buying all this protein to hit my protein goals. Well, odds are you are probably eating out multiple times a week. Let's cut that budget out. And then you can buy more groceries.
Another good grocery store hack is buying generic brands. I buy Walmart brand of everything. I don't think I have anything that I really hold true to. Maybe toilet paper. I feel like that one I don't skip on.
You don't buy Costco toilet paper?
No.
Really?
Maybe I need to. Is it great? I don't have Costco. We have Sam's Club, but is it just as good?
I think it's great. I had to buy the Charmin last time. Costco, people were buying it up again the other day. Chad was like, I don't like it. It's too soft.
Oh my gosh. I buy generic diet soda. Krista knows this about me. She can't do it. I now officially prefer the Diet Sam's Cola over the Diet Coke. I bought the Diet Coke this week because they were out of the Diet Sam. So I was like, I'm just going to get the Diet Coke taste test.
Yeah.
I don't like the flavor as much. And I think it's
wonder
just
if they
what I'm
use-
used to.
Yeah. I wonder if they use different sweeteners or something. Yeah. If I'm coming to visit Tracy in Florida, I'm like, you better get me the Diet Coke. Don't be trying to give me that cola stuff. I buy Walmart brand. I'm very sad because our new house, there's no neighborhood Walmart close by right now. I have one around the corner and it's so convenient. So I am a little bummed out about that. I'll be shopping at Kroger again.
The other thing that I wanted to just mention, because we're such big protein eaters, is the cow. You guys always get the cow.
Oh, yeah.
We've never gotten a cow. And I finally reached out to somebody that I know gets a cow here. And I'm like, how do I get myself a cow?
Yeah.
I finally have a freezer that can support the cow. Do you just love that? And it's worth it to you,
Oh, I
right?
love it. And I'm telling you, the ground beef is just so much better. It's really great if you're someone who oh, we weren't really people who would buy steaks, but if you are someone who likes to go pick up a steak occasionally, you get all the varieties of meat. I wanna say we pay around $9 a pound, we calculated, but that's for the ground beef, the roast, the New York strip steaks. We get all the fancy stuff too because it's all coming together.
Mhm.
But I'm telling you, the flavor is superior. Totally worth it.
Okay. Well, I can't wait. I still haven't ordered one yet, but it's on my list. I'm gonna get myself a cow.
And it forces you to be creative. I gotta use these roasts up or I gotta use this flank steak.
Yeah.
So
One other thing that I've heard in regards to budgeting was when you look at an item and how much it costs, you also need to calculate how often you're going to be using it. Then look at the value of it. If it's something that's super cheap, but you're never going to really use it, it's still not that great of a value versus even if it's something considered luxurious spending like the Dyson blow dryer, but you use it every day, it has just a higher value.
I feel like you talked about this with the Dyson blow dryer.
Oh, I already did.
I mean, I do completely agree with that. That's like the Lululemon leggings. I
Yes.
mean, I think I've only had 1 or 2 pairs at this point over the last, I don't know, 15 years that I've gotten a hole or I had to get rid of them versus I keep falling for this. Someone shared these Target leggings. They're actually really great. I love them. I ordered them and I hated them. I wore them one time and I'll never wear them again. They didn't stay up. And I'm like, why do I fall for this? I just need to
Mhm.
order the Lululemon leggings. They're
Mhm.
$120, but they'll last me 10 years. Yeah.
Quality piece for sure. And then this other concept, the concept of contentment in general, realizing that we're never going to feel like, and now I will not want for the next thing. You're always going to want the next thing. And
Right.
I was talking to my kid. I'm a really good lecturer to my kids. Kids elementary. Our kids all have budgets as well. So they get paid and they have a save, spend, give. And so they ask pretty frequently, how much money do I have in my spend? And we have some kids that as soon as they get their money, it's gone. They need to spend it. They
Yeah.
need to. And I just made that comment. You are always going to be broke if you can't find contentment in what you already have. If you always feel like you need the next thing, you're always going to be broke.
Yeah. That's McKenna for me, but she's also my youngest. So I don't know. I do love talking to my boys about credit cards. My dad taught me at a young age. This is how it works. They want
Mhm.
you to buy everything with these credit cards, and then you're paying the minimum amount every month, and then the interest adds up. We always talk about that with our kids.
And the comparison thing too. I guess removing yourself from culture and trends a little bit, you can buy the dupes or you
Yeah.
can buy the knockoff brands, like the generic, just like we are talking about with food.
So I have my Jeep, and it's so fun. It's so sporty and it's fun. But driving on the freeway, it's so loud. If there is wind, I thought I was gonna lose control of the Jeep the other day because it's like you're driving a box. I got it because we're like, we can pull it behind the RV. It was practical. One of us needs to have a car that we can pull, but I really want to get a bigger SUV, something comfortable, but I don't need it right now. Maybe this is silly. I don't even know if I should talk about
No, I
it.
think this is great because I bet a ton of women are in this position. Let's hear it.
It just kills me to go out and buy a new car right now when there's nothing wrong with my Jeep. It's just always a battle in my mind. We even called insurance companies because Brett is going to be turning 16 here in a little over a year.
Brett could drive that Jeep around.
So I'm like, it's probably not worth it to sell it and then have to buy another used car for him in a year and a half. So my practical mind and frugal stuff, I'm like, well, I'm just going to keep driving this, even though I don't love it. But I'm not just going to jump on buying this new car just because,
Everyone else. I feel like so many people can relate to that.
right? Like
I
it's so easy to
definitely,
go and just finance a car.
yeah,
But I just don't want to do that.
good for you. You know what your Dave Ramsey girl's gonna tell you. It's not worth it. Another thing is that you gotta stay in your lane. Stay in your lane and not be deterred by what other people are doing. I'm not gonna keep up with the Joneses, be so laser focused. I gotta stay in my lane of it's fine that we're driving Chris's Toyota Tacoma from 12 with with the messed up tint. That is kind of my primary vehicle right now, by the way, speaking of cars. And I do giggle a little bit every time I drive it. It's fine. I'm staying in my lane. This car's just fine.
Uh-huh.
And the plan is for us to give it to Siege and have a plan for another car before then. But
Oh yeah, that's smart too. And I do know that cars decrease in value so quickly. It's one of the worst things you can do is buy a car and then turn around and have to sell it. You just lose out on so much money. So that also kills me.
I think once you get through this home build that's been all consuming, you'll be able to. I know. That being said, I feel like our houses always take up so much of our funds because we're always on to the next project, on to the next.
6 kids running through that house.
I know. Well, think about how many
surprised.
cars I'm gonna need for them.
Oh my yeah. Wow. I feel like we could just talk about money forever. You know what I found so interesting? And this is not necessarily about budgeting, but I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I just find finances in general so interesting. They say the majority of Americans are walking around with all this debt. And there was a trend going around on TikTok. This was months ago, and it was mostly women, at least women popping up in my feed, and they were just sharing, I have $62,000 in debt, and this is how it happened. And it's just like, oh, my heart just, I feel for these people because, especially nowadays, everything's so expensive. But I just found it so interesting how people put money on credit cards and just, I mean, I was, like I said, I was lucky enough. My dad taught me about credit cards, and I've always tried to live within my means.
I find it fascinating too. And I was
Oh.
thinking in our day to day, you don't really know how much people, you have no idea what their stories are, but they could look and drive what you drive. They could live very similar lifestyles to what you live and yet be in a much worse off financial position or much better off financial position.
Well, it goes along with keeping up with the Joneses, like you mentioned. You can see people, they've got the nicest cars and fancy houses, but they might have $300,000 in just credit card debt and financing their cars. I never want to feel like I'm barely making it by. I'm lucky enough now that we have everything we need and our business has been doing really well. But I know I've lived on a teacher's salary for a long time. I know what that's like.
And the
Now
other
we-
thing about our jobs, being small business owners in general, you just can't count. It's not like we're in the military and every month we know we're getting a check. And I do feel much more secure in our business than I did when we started out, for sure. We couldn't count on that money in the beginning. But still, you just never know. And I've heard stories of business owners that were doing really well, went out and increased their living expenses and changed their lifestyle to the money that they were making and then lost their business and then had nothing to show for it.
We don't know how long we're going to be able to sell cookbooks and hire coaches.
Which is why I feel like I wouldn't get a payment. I wasn't even going to talk about Dave Ramsey at all because I kind of shared all that in one of the other episodes. But one of the quotes that really made me feel like I can do this was when he says, "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time." That's what we tell our clients. This weight that you have to lose might feel like this huge mountain that you're never going to overcome. That's such a defeating feeling. When Chris and I had a lot of debt, it just felt like, well, what's the point? We're always going to have this much debt. And so if you just think about that, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You're not going to be an overnight success story. You're going to be a, wow, you were at this for a year plus, maybe 2 years, and you've maintained your weight loss. You've maintained your finance goals, which is kind of what the whole season of our podcast was. Persevere, keep grinding, even when it's taking what seems like forever.
I remember you sharing that quote at our first retreat. Remember in St. George?
Yes.
Yeah. I was also thinking, we talked all about budgeting and how we budget our money, but I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who are in debt. And like you said, one bite at a time. If you are in debt, it's okay. Just start hacking away at it, just like you would your weight loss goals.
Right. It's a humbling feeling. You might have to do things that you aren't used to doing, like I'm going to have to not eat out anymore, or I'm not going to be able to go on a vacation this year, which when you're looking at your Instagram feed and everyone you know is in Aruba.
Yeah. That's
You
what
know?
I do feel when it comes to keeping up with the Joneses. I'm like, man, all these people going on these really cool vacations. People are flying all year round, all the time, taking their families. I'm like, oh, it's so wonderful. People choose to spend their money differently. And maybe they have $100,000 in debt. You never know.
We have no clue.
Hopefully, this was helpful. I don't know that it was. Or did we just discuss all the things?
Hopefully it was inspiring, helpful. And also, if you have any feedback, I mentioned this on my Instagram. I get so all in my feels when somebody reaches out and says that they've listened and they resonated with a certain part of the episode, because I realize that listening to us yap for more than 1 minute reel or Insta stories just feels like such a commitment. And we appreciate all your feedback. If you have budgeting tips, share it in the Ninja Insider group. We'd love to hear it.
Until next time.
Bye.
We appreciate you tuning in to the Stay Fit Mom podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Connect with us on social media and head to stayfitmom.com for more resources and tips. You've got this. See you next time.